You know, for the first time ever, Apple has dropped a brand new MacBook that you don't need a trust fund to buy. It's a machine that feels like a $1,000 laptop, but it comes with a price that's sending shockwaves through the entire industry. So let's get into it and break down exactly how they managed to pull this off. This right here, this is the number that changes absolutely everything, $599. Now, to put that into perspective, for years, the absolute cheapest new MacBook you could get your hands on was hovering right around $1,000. So this isn't just some little sale or a small discount. This is a seismic shift. This is Apple jumping into a whole new weight class, a price point they have never ever played in with a new laptop before.
And this is the immediate reaction that pretty much everyone has the second they pick it up. There's this huge disconnect, right? You see the price tag, and then you feel the device in your hands, and your brain just can't make sense of it. And that creates this central mystery, this big question. If it feels so premium, how on earth did they get the price so low? What's the catch? Well, that's exactly what we're going to uncover, piece by piece. So let's formally meet the star of the show, the MacBook Neo. Now, it's really important to understand that this isn't just a cheaper MacBook Air. Apple has actually created an entirely new category for its laptops. This is their cheapest MacBook ever made, and it was designed from the ground up with one goal in mind: hit that aggressive price and create a brand new front door into the world of Apple computers. So who is this laptop actually for? This is a really key part of the story. See, this machine isn't aimed at the video editors or the graphic designers or even most existing Mac users. Nope. Apple is going after a massive audience that, until now, has always been priced out. We're talking about students who need a solid, reliable machine for class. We're talking about parents buying a first laptop for their kids, or maybe just casual users who want a simple, high-quality device for browsing the web, checking email, and watching Netflix. In other words, Apple is going right after the millions of people who are about to buy a basic Chromebook or a budget Windows laptop. Okay, so let's get into the sizzle. The first thing you notice about the MacBook Neo, the first impression, it's all about how it feels in your hands. In a market that's just flooded with flimsy plastic and creaky hinges, Apple is leading with its signature build quality, which is something that is completely unexpected at this price. All right, let's break down what you're actually getting for your money here, because the list is pretty wild. First off, you get a full aluminum body, no cheap bendy plastic in sight. The display is a 13-inch liquid retina screen. That's the same kind of tech and, crucially, the same 500 nits of brightness as the much more expensive MacBook Air. By the way, nits is just a fancy way of measuring screen brightness, and 500 is very, very bright, totally usable even in a sunny room. The webcam is a full 1080p HD camera, which is honestly better than what you get on some laptops that cost twice as much. The speakers are surprisingly good, the battery is designed to last all day, and it comes in 4 really cool new colors, which makes it feel fun and modern. So what this all boils down to is pretty simple. Before you even turn it on, the MacBook Neo feels like a premium product. Most laptops in that $500 to $600 range, well, they feel cheap. They've got plastic bodies that flex and creak. Apple has made absolutely sure that the very first thing you notice about the Neo is how solid and well-built it is. That premium physical experience is the entire magic trick here. It's the foundation of the whole product's appeal. All right, but we all know there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? To get a real MacBook down to a price of $599, some serious cuts had to be made. We've talked about the sizzle, now it's time to look at what's actually missing from the meal. This is where we answer that big question. So how did they do it? This is the question on everybody's mind. It seems a little too good to be true, doesn't it? A premium feeling Mac at this price has to have some hidden downsides. And the answer is, yeah, of course it does, absolutely. But the compromises Apple chose to make are very, very specific and very targeted. So let's lay them all out on the table. Okay, this table right here, this lays out all the little nips and tucks that add up to that final price tag. Let's walk through them. First, the keyboard has no backlight, which means the keys don't light up in the dark. The trackpad is mechanical. It physically clicks down instead of using that cool silent haptic feedback on the more expensive MacBooks. There's no MagSafe, that awesome magnetic charging cable. You just charge using one of the USB-C ports. The screen, while it's nice and bright, doesn't have premium features like True Tone, which adjusts the colors to the light around you, or P3 wide color, which photographers really care about. We'll get to the ports in just a second. The RAM is locked in at 8 gigabytes and you cannot upgrade it. And finally, the base $599 model doesn't have a Touch ID fingerprint sensor. You have to pay extra for that.
Now let's zoom in on the ports for a moment because this is super important and honestly a little confusing. The two USB-C ports on the side, they look exactly the same, but they are not created equal. The one towards the back of the laptop near the hinge is a fast USB 3 port. This is the one you have to use if you want to connect an external monitor or a speedy external hard drive. The other port, the one closer to the front, is a much slower USB 2 port. We're talking about 20 times slower. That's like the difference between a race car and a bicycle. So that front port is totally fine for charging or plugging in a mouse, but if you plug a fast drive into it, you're gonna have a bad time. You just have to remember, fast stuff in the back, slow stuff in the front. And now we come to the biggest compromise of all, which is also the most interesting and brilliant part of this whole machine, the processor. This is the real secret sauce for how Apple hit this price. See, the MacBook Neo doesn't use one of the typical Mac M series chips. Instead, it uses a chip that was originally designed for an iPhone. Now, I know what you're probably thinking when you hear iPhone chip. You're thinking underpowered. It's a totally natural reaction. I mean, how can a chip that's designed for a phone possibly be powerful enough for a real laptop? Well, that turns out to be a huge misconception, and it's based on a really outdated view of just how powerful Apple's mobile chips have become. The reality is, it's a lot more surprising than you think. Let's start with what we call single-core performance. Now, this is a measure of how fast the computer is when it's doing one single task at a time. Think of it as the snappiness factor. It's what makes a computer feel fast when you're doing everyday things, like opening an app, loading a website, or just scrolling. And as you can see on this chart, the 18 Pro chip in the Neo isn't just good, it's phenomenal. It is significantly faster than the M1 chip from the much-loved MacBook Air, and get this, it's even slightly faster than the M3 chip in a MacBook Pro. For the vast majority of things that people do on a laptop, this machine feels incredibly fast. But here's the other side of that coin, multi-core performance. This measures how well the computer handles really heavy, long-running tasks that use all of its power at once. Things like professional video editing or rendering a 3D model. And this is where the A18 Pro's limits start to show. As the chart shows, it's about on par with the much older M1 chip, but it falls way behind the modern M3. This perfectly illustrates the trade-off. The Neo is a sprinter, not a marathon runner. It's amazing for quick, bursty tasks, but it's just not built for those heavy, professional workloads. And that brings us to the elephant in the room, the 8 gigabytes of RAM. A lot of people assume Apple is just being cheap here, that they're trying to save a few bucks. But there's actually a deep technical reason for this limit. The A18 Pro chip is designed in a way where the RAM is physically baked into the chip package itself. It's not a separate stick you can add later. So, to add more RAM, Apple would have to completely redesign the chip, which would totally destroy the cost savings that make this laptop possible in the first place. The 8 gigabyte limit isn't just a choice they made, it's a fundamental part of the hardware's design. So we've seen the good stuff, that awesome premium feel, the zippy performance for all your daily tasks. And we've seen the compromises, the keyboard, the ports, and the performance ceiling for heavy work. Now let's put it all together and figure out exactly who this laptop is for, and, just as importantly, who should probably stay far away. Okay, the MacBook Neo is an absolute home run for a few key groups. For students who spend all day in Google Docs, writing papers and doing research, it's a dream machine. For parents who want a durable, simple, easy-to-use first computer for their kids, this is a fantastic option. For anyone whose laptop usage is basically 90% web browser, email, and Netflix, the Neo will feel just as fast as a machine costing twice as much. And, most importantly, it's for all those people who've looked at MacBooks for years and just said, "Man, I wish I could afford one." Well, now you can. Now for the flip side. Let's be just as clear about who should probably steer clear of this machine. If you are a creative professional, this is not the laptop for you. Professional video editors, 3D artists, and software developers, you will hit its performance ceiling, and you'll hit it fast and hard. Photographers who need perfect color accuracy are going to be held back by the display. And any power user who loves to have 10 demanding apps open at once will feel the squeeze of that 8 gigabytes of RAM. If your work involves plugging in multiple high-speed hard drives or monitors, those limited and mismatched ports are going to drive you crazy. And this brings us to a really critical decision point. The base $599 Neo is a fantastic deal, but if you're thinking about spending an extra $100 for the $699 upgrade with more storage and Touch ID, you need to hit the pause button for a second. Because for just a little bit more money, usually around $750, you can often find a refurbished M-series MacBook Airs straight from Apple. And for that small jump in price, you get a dramatically better machine. A backlit keyboard, much faster Thunderbolt ports, a way better P3 display with True Tone, and the convenience of MagSafe charging. The refurbished Air is the Neo's biggest competition, but really only if you're looking at that upgraded model.
So why did Apple make this laptop right now? Let's zoom out from just the product itself and look at the bigger strategic picture. The MacBook Neo isn't just a product, it's a major strategic move for the entire company. The MacBook Neo is what's known in the business world as a gateway product. Now, the whole goal of a gateway product isn't necessarily to make a huge profit on that first sale. Instead, its job is to be an affordable, attractive front door that introduces a whole new wave of customers to a brand's world, their ecosystem. For example, a video game console is often sold at a loss, but the company makes all its money back by selling you games and subscriptions. And that is exactly what Apple is doing here. They're not trying to convince someone with a MacBook Pro to downgrade. The real prize for Apple isn't the $599 from selling you the laptop. The real prize is you, the new customer. Because once someone owns a Mac, they're so much more likely to subscribe to iCloud, to buy apps from the App Store, to use Apple Music, and then in a few years, to upgrade to a more expensive Mac or iPhone. The Neo is the welcome mat to Apple's entire incredibly profitable world.
Ultimately, the MacBook Neo is an incredibly clever and well-executed gateway into the Apple ecosystem. It offers that premium experience for everyday stuff at a price that's finally within reach for millions of people. And the compromises it makes to get there are smart, and for the right person, they are absolutely worth it. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Based on what you need and what your budget is this the right entry point for you? Is the price of admission worth what you get inside?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.